Hello and welcome to another episode of Tom's Gadget Garage. Today is range test day and we're going to be taking this Emove Cruiser V2 from Voro Motors on a full real-world range test. Now Voro Motors does claim this scooter will get up to 62 miles of range in ideal conditions, so we'll absolutely be putting that to the test today. So without further delay, let's jump into the ride. All right, so the range test has commenced. For today's ride, we will be cruising around in Speed Mode 2. I'll also be tracking this ride with Garmin GPS, which will give us an accurate and consistent way of tracking this scooter. And we'll also keep track of how this is doing compared to some of the other scooters that I've tested on this channel. Today we're going to be riding on the Powerline Bike Trail, which actually takes us through multiple cities. It starts out in Gilbert, Arizona, goes into Chandler, Tempe, and then eventually Phoenix. This thing goes, from east to west for long distances, so we shouldn't have any issues with running out of path to do this range test on today. So this Emove Cruiser V2 is going to be the highest battery capacity scooter that I've ever tested on this channel. The battery is 52 volt, 30 amp hour, which is good for 1,560 watt hours of capacity. So it is a monster size battery, which, in ideal conditions, they say we can get 62 miles of range, but it's always important to remember those are theoretical ranges. In the real world, you're probably going to get something significantly different than that, which is exactly what we're going to be testing today. Now, one thing to note about this scooter is that it uses high-quality LG cells, and they're high-capacity, high-density 21700 cells, so they definitely didn't cheap out on the battery for this scooter. Now, this trail that we're going to be cruising around on today is about 70% paved, 30% hard-packed dirt, so that'll give us a good opportunity to test this both on and off the beaten path. This Emove Cruiser V2 does have full suspension. It's actually got quad suspension. So 2 air shocks up front, 2 air shocks in the rear. And so far, based on my testing, it's been very comfortable. The only thing to note about them is that they don't have any kind of dampening on the recoil. So if you're gonna go over, particularly aggressive stuff, you might hear those things banging around a little bit, but regardless, it's still a very comfortable ride. The tires on this scooter are 10 inches by 2.75 inches. They are tubeless, air-filled tires, and they do have a self-sealing gel to help prevent punctures. And as you can see, we're riding around on this hard-packed dirt, and it's very comfortable, very stable. There should be some, a little more choppy areas up ahead, but so far, this thing is handling beautifully. Now, one of the factors that people consider when buying an electric scooter is going to be hill climbability. If you live in a place with a lot of hills, you want to make sure you get a scooter that's suitable for it so you're not let down and, end up pushing scooters up and down hills on your commute. With this particular scooter, I actually did a full hill climb test. I'll include a link up above as well as in the description below. But in that test, we take this scooter up Phoenix's South Mountain, which is a grueling hill climb test that takes us up over 1,800 feet in elevation gain. So if you haven't checked that out, I definitely recommend doing so. That hill climb video will not only give you an idea of what the hill climb performance is on this scooter, but it'll also show you how the brakes perform basically going down 8.5 miles of downhill riding. In addition to the disc brakes, the scooter also has electronic braking, which you can go into the P settings of this scooter and go ahead and make adjustments. The P settings or advanced settings menu of this scooter is actually quite complex. You've got a lot of things you can tinker with. I think they've got A settings, P settings, E settings. You've got all the settings, which is absolutely fantastic because it gives you the ability to fully customize your ride experience to your liking. All right, so for those of you keeping track, we just crossed the 5-mile mark, and it looks like, according to the battery readout, we've got 81% battery remaining. I will say that when you first start riding this scooter, the battery percentage drops off pretty quickly, but then it kind of hangs out for a long time, and so we'll see how this performs. Worst case scenario, if we run out of range because we can't accurately follow the battery readout, I can always get a ride back home. Thank goodness. But anyways, right now, 5 miles. I will be checking in with you every, I would say, 8 miles or so, just to give you an idea of our progress. And, I'll interrupt and give you earlier updates if we have any kind of developments with this scooter. And so everybody is clear, this is the single motor version of this Emove Cruiser V2. So it's got the 52 volt 30 amp hour battery, Voro Motors did just announce a dual motor version of this scooter, which comes with a 60 volt, 30 amp hour battery. So that'll be especially useful for people who are riding around in places with exceptionally steep hills. And I highly recommend watching this entire video, because it's not just a matter of knowing what the range is on the scooter, it's how the actual scooter performs as it wears down the battery. Do you lose a lot of power? Is there significant voltage sag? Are you able to maintain those cruising speeds when you're at 20% or below? Those are important factors to consider, because they do impact your commute and use of the scooter. All right, so here's that pedestrian bridge, a little bit of a hill climb test. We are in speed mode 2, cruising around at about 20 miles an hour right now. So let's go ahead and head on up this thing. So full throttle right now, we're maintaining about 16 miles an hour, 14, 15 miles an hour. So we're making our way up. In speed mode 2, no problem at all. All right, we are at the top of the bridge. And now we're working our way down. Good little opportunity to test out these Zoom X-Tech brakes, which, as I mentioned, have plenty of stopping power. Looks like we got some train tracks up ahead. Give us a little opportunity to test out the suspension here. No trains, we're clear. Boom, right up and over. Very comfortable. Now we are cruising around right now at about 22, 23 miles an hour. It says we got 79% battery remaining. We did lose a battery bar. Let's see, when I let up off on the power. Yep, so we're officially lost one battery bar right at around 8.3 miles or so. For those of you keeping track, we just crossed the 10-mile mark. It says we got about 77% battery remaining. We've been riding around for about 42 minutes at this point. When we start approaching our first benchmark, which is going to be the Apollo Go territory. That scooter, we got 19.2 miles on that range test. So we'll see when we eclipse that, and then we'll take a look at some of the other scooters down the line, including the 9Bot Max G2, the InMotion Climber, the awesome Gallop, the NIU KQI 300X, the Punk Rider Pro, the awesome Leopard, as well as the Segway ZT3 Pro. So all the scooters I've tested on this particular course, we'll see how they stack up to this Emove Cruiser V2. Now, if you are interested in purchasing one of these scooters from Voro Motors, I will include a link in the description, as well as any available coupon codes. And if you actually use that to make your purchase, it actually helps support this channel at no additional cost to you, and it helps keep the wheels moving on future reviews. So thank you in advance. So one of the things that I absolutely love about this scooter is the wide handlebars. It makes for a very relaxing ride. And this is a very comfortable scooter. So it weighs in at 80 pounds. Voro Motors does say it's 74. I threw it on my scale, as I do with all my scooters, and it weighs in at exactly 80 pounds. So it is not a lightweight, super ultra portable scooter. But what it is extraordinarily comfortable. So on this ride, I don't have any kind of fatigue. You've got a huge foot plate here, which makes it easy to position your feet however you want. You've got a functional kick plate in the rear, which is the perfect angle for a comfortable ride. And these shocks do an exceptionally good job of absorbing the impact and creating for a very comfortable ride experience. So hats off to Emove and Voro Motors for an excellent riding scooter. Something else to point out, and you can probably see it in the camera there's a lot of handlebar space. So if you want to attach phone holders, external lights, camera mounts, the whole 9 yards, you can do it on this scooter because there's plenty of handlebar real estate. Now, the thumb throttle on here is very granular. I really like it. It gives you granular control over the power output. So right now I'm cruising around at 20 miles an hour, which is, for me, the perfect commuting speed. And I'm able to maintain that speed with ease with this thumb throttle. It's not like an on and off switch. It gives you very granular control of power output. So that's really nice. It's also very comfortable. I mean, right now we're past 15 miles, and you know, I don't have any kind of thumb fatigue or anything like that, so really liking it. Okay, I guess we can head over to this park here because we've got plenty of battery to spare. It says 66%, but once again, it's bouncing around. We'll head on over this cobblestone bridge, see how the suspension does. Cobblestones are definitely interesting things to ride on, and I don't recommend it because they are bumpy. But it did all right. All right, I think we'll head out onto the dock, which appears to be full of pigeons today. Sorry, guys. Oh. All right, so there's our Emove Cruiser V2. We're about just about 18 miles into this ride right now. This thing is holding up solid. Let's see, what do we got for battery here? It says 68%, so it's dancing around a bit. But anyways, so far, so good. Little pit stop is over. Let's head back onto our range test. All right, so now that we've turned around, we're heading back to where we started. We'll probably take a few detours on the way back just to extend out the range as much as possible. You know, with these range tests, I try and calculate them out in a way that we run out of battery right where we started. It doesn't always work out that way. There have been cases where I had to push the scooter back to where we started, which is never a fun experience. And if you're curious, the actual speed readout on this scooter is very accurate. So we're going about 20 miles an hour right now, and on GPS it's showing 20 miles an hour. So it is spot on. Ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. We've officially eclipsed the range that I got on the Apollo Go at 19.2 miles. So next up is going to be the Segway 9BOT Max G2. All right, so we just crossed the 22-mile mark, and we've officially eclipsed the distance I was able to get on the Segway 9BOT Max G2. And we're currently sitting at about 53% battery remaining. But one thing I do want to mention about this scooter, I mentioned in the hill climb, is that let's say you're cruising around, you got power applied, you know, moving around 20 miles an hour or whatever, and you release the throttle, and then you hit the throttle again, it very momentarily slows down. It's like the motor's trying to catch up or something. So just keep that in mind. You know, when I first got on this scooter, after I rode it the first time, you know, it did catch me off guard. So right now I'm cruising around, take my thumb off the throttle. When I apply throttle again, it does, for a very brief moment, hesitate, which causes you to slow down just a little bit, but then it picks right back up again. So just something to keep in mind. And there we have it. The Segway ZT3 Pro has officially fallen to the Emove Cruiser V2. We're at 23 miles right now, which is what we were able to get on that scooter. We'll take a little pit stop here. Got a little waterfall feature on the canal here. This is the Western Canal, looks like established 1913. This is water from the Salt River. All right, that's really interesting. There is our Emove Cruiser V2 in all of its glory. Just crushing all the commuter scooters I've tested. One thing I will mention is this power plug is right up here where the front of your foot would be, so just be aware of that. I just positioned my foot about an inch behind this so I don't bump into this, but you definitely don't want to be bumping into your foot into that, you know, repeatedly, so just keep an eye out for that. Any other issues with this scooter? I do get some rubbing out of the disc brakes. I've done a lot of adjusting of these things. It's just very tight clearance, so anyways, I'll look at it again when I get home, but you know, very light rubbing. Once you wear those pads down, that'll probably go away, but anyways, just something to mention. Oh, I'm sorry, bud. I don't have any food. If I did, I'd give it to you. Have a great day, my friend. See, he was also interested in the Emove Cruiser V2. All right, back onto the range test. So we just crossed the 24-mile mark, which means we officially exceeded the range that we got on the InMotion Climber. So that's another scooter to fall to this glorious Emove Cruiser V2. We're at the 50% battery remaining mark. We've lost a couple bars, so we'll see how we do. All right, folks, looks like the mighty NIU KQi 300X has fallen. We've officially crossed that 26-mile mark. And quick update here on ride comfort. This may very well be one of the most, if not the most, comfortable scooter I've ever ridden on one of these longer range rides. You know, the hand grips are very comfortable. The throttle is very easy to keep in place at the right speed. These, you know, brake levers are very easily accessible. You know, the headlight button's easy to access. So are the turn signals. There's our horn, really loud, actually, my goodness. That's the first time I pushed that button, so you'll never have an issue getting somebody's attention with that. The only thing that's kind of out of reach is this pad for plus and minus. I mean, the plus and minus I can touch, but like this power button to cycle through what's displayed on the screen and the mode button as well are a little out of reach. But anyways, as I'm riding around, I'm not playing around with those, so I'm not too concerned about that. Now, if there is anything that you'd like to see me test on this scooter that I haven't covered already, or, you know, other reviewers haven't covered, let me know in the comment section below. You know, happy to test as much as I can. You know, on this channel, I try and put all of these scooters through the ringer to give you an idea of what to expect, so there's no surprises. I'll tell you what, I've purchased products in the past where I watched some of these glowing YouTube reviews and people are raving about these things, and I get the product and I'm like, nah, okay, whatever. It's not that exciting. And you know, I don't want that to be the case with any of the scooters that I test on this channel and recommend. You know, I want to make sure that you have all the information you need to make the right decision, because the last thing we want is, you know, buyer's remorse, or you to take out the scooter and be less than pleased with what you got. So there you have it. We've crossed the 28-mile mark, which means the awesome Leopard DT1 Pro has officially fallen to the Emove Cruiser V2. Who's next? We've got 42% battery remaining. We'll see how accurate that is here towards the end of this ride. But so far, making fantastic progress. And we've officially crossed the 30-mile mark. Says we've still got 37% battery, 38% battery remaining. We've got 2 battery bars left. We've been cruising around for about 2 hours and 9 minutes at this point. So now that we're about 38, 39% battery, I can tell you there is a little drop off in acceleration. It's slight, it's not huge, but once again, that's why it's important, you know, to do these range tests, give you an idea of how this scooter performs as that battery drains. And so, you know, with any scooter there will be a point where you have some voltage sag, but anyways, we're still cruising around, no problem at all. So we've officially crossed the 32-mile mark, which means that the original awesome Gallop has fallen. We got 32 miles of range on that scooter, and that's the point that we're at right now, and we've still got 36% battery remaining. All right, folks, a little moment of silence for the original awesome Leopard, because we just crossed the 35-mile mark, and we've officially eclipsed what we were able to do on that scooter. So there's one more left. That's the Punk Rider Pro. Will we exceed the range that we got on that scooter with the Emove Cruiser V2? We're about to find out. It says we got 29% battery remaining. I see still 2 bars. When we get to the end of this trail here, we'll turn around and head on back to where we started. All right, folks, so there you have it. We just passed the range that we were able to get on the Punk Rider Pro, which makes this the best performing range scooter that I've tested to date. Now, obviously, we are not done with our range test. We're going to keep on going, but so far, this is super impressive. Now, keep in mind, none of these are apples to apples comparisons, but any of these scooters are potential options for you to pick up. And so if range is going to be a priority, this thing here definitely delivers. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some water, and then we're going to continue on our range test. Got a little more riding off the beaten path here. Here's some rough stuff we can ride on. Air shocks do a pretty good job of dampening a lot of this impact. We're cruising around on this hard packed dirt right now at about 18, 19 miles an hour. And it's definitely comfortable, and it's a very confidence-inspiring ride feel. You know, not fishtailing all over the place, you know, or anything like that. Hey, look at that. We just crossed the 40-mile mark on this Emove Cruiser V2. We've been riding for 2 hours, 55 minutes, and it says we've got 22% battery remaining. 2 bars is all that's left on this scooter. But 40 miles is crazy. As you can see, we're still able to maintain, you know, 20 miles an hour. Now this is throttle all the way in right now, and so we definitely have a little bit of a decrease in power compared to when we first started. So that's definitely something to keep in mind. Let's go off the beaten path here. But yeah, you can definitely feel there's a reduction in power. We don't have the same acceleration. We're not able to hit the same top speeds. And that, my friends, is voltage sag. So as battery voltage decreases over time, we get less and less power output, which happens throughout the battery range, but it's most noticeable when you get down to, you know, 20, 30%. We'll see how it does when we get closer to 10, 15%. Be interesting to see if we can still hit 20 miles an hour. All right, so what we're gonna do right now is cruise around on these residential streets. We've got about 16, 17% battery remaining. We're still able to hit 20 miles an hour. And we just crossed the 42-mile mark, so I mean, this thing just keeps on going. You know, you can't see it on camera, but I got a big smile on my face right now because, you know, this is like longer range e-bike territory, you know? It's pretty surprising result out of a scooter. And you know what? If you take the lid off of this deck, there's a lot of room in there, you know? I wouldn't be surprised if they could squeeze an even bigger battery into this thing. But anyways, very impressive so far. But yeah, you know, there is a reduction in power output, but 21 miles an hour. On GPS, I'm showing 21.3, so we're still able to cruise, baby. And for being such a big, heavy scooter, I mean, it's pretty nimble. You know, you can definitely carve around on this thing, no problem. So one thing to keep in mind is that, you know, we are cruising around today in speed mode 2, which for me is, you know, perfect for commuting purposes. But if you were to dial things up to, say, speed mode 3, the maximum speed mode, of course, you're not going to get as good a range out of the scooter. You know, then just in the opposite. You know, if you ride around in speed mode 1, you're going to get significantly more range. So it's all dependent on your, you know, riding conditions, what modes you're riding around in, your weight. You know, for this ride I weigh in 203 pounds. So just keep that in mind. All right, so when we're under load, it says we've got about 8% battery remaining. When I take the thumb off the throttle, it hops right above 10%. But there's definitely a drastic reduction in acceleration. Let's see if we can still hit 20 miles an hour here. 19, yeah, you can definitely feel a reduction in power here. And on the screen, I'm showing 3% battery remaining. I'm not sure how accurate that is. All right, folks, battery indicator showing 1% remaining, yet we're still able to go 19 miles an hour or so. What I'm trying to do right now is figure out where I'm at. These neighborhood subdivisions are absolutely gigantic, and they all look the same. All right, so I think I finally figured out where I'm at. Now it says a 0% battery remaining, and we're still hitting 18 miles an hour in speed mode 2. If I take my thumb off the throttle and coast for a little bit, still showing 0. Might creep up again, I don't know. We'll see. Got a little rubbing of that disc brake in the rear. We'll definitely take a look at that. We get back, and we've got a rather dramatic reduction in speed right now. 10, 11 miles an hour. So this could officially be considered crawl home mode. Oh, it's trying to make it up the hill. It's trying, it's trying. And we made it up that. All right, folks, we're definitely in crawl home mode. I've got throttle all the way in, and we're cruising along here at about 5 miles an hour, 4 miles an hour. We're definitely at the bottom end of this battery. All right, I think we're gonna call it. All right, folks, so there you have it. That was our range test on the Emove Cruiser V2 from Voro Motors. On today's ride, we went a staggering 47 miles. We had an average moving speed of 16.2 miles an hour. We had a top speed of 23.2 miles an hour. Elevation gain of 948 feet, and we were cruising around for 3 hours and 28 minutes today. So as you can see, this Emove Cruiser V2 from Voro Motors is an absolute range powerhouse, and it honestly did a lot better than I expected, and it actually outperformed every other scooter that we've tested on this channel, as well as a bunch of e-bikes that we've tested out. So very impressed with the performance of this scooter today. Now, let me know if you have any questions, comments, thoughts, concerns. If you want me to test something in particular out in a future video, happy to do so. Let me know in the comments section below. And if you do want to pick up one of these scooters from Voro Motors, I will include a link in the description below, as well as any available coupon codes to help you with that price. As always, thank you so much for tuning into Tom's Gadget Garage. We'll see you next time.